Here's a spoiler for you. Do you know what the last line from the Eternals movie is? Specifically from the post-credits scene. It says, Eternals will return. Yeah, it turns out not so much. Eternals was a weird one. On paper, it technically should have worked pretty well. A lot of deep mythology, plenty of jumping back and forth with flashbacks, big action scenes, the potential to introduce several new superheroes all at once, kind of like the Avengers, a team with unique abilities. But the story was kind of dull, disjointed, and hard to follow. And none of the characters were interesting, and it was also way too long at over 2.5 hours in runtime. It tried to be this big superhero epic, but there was something about it that just felt undercooked. It didn't help that the MCU was now in its fourth phase, and this was the fourth film since Endgame. And the previous two films, Chi-Ching and the 12 Golden Coins...
Dave, not again. It's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Okay, whatever. As I was saying, it doesn't help that the previous two films, Shang-Chi and Black Widow, were mediocre and poorly received. And they were both box office failures. I think in recent MCU history, we focused a lot on the financial underperformance of the likes of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and the Marvels, but not so much on how bad Black Widow's performance was. A $288 million budget for that film. I don't know where the money went. And the film only brought in $379.7 million worldwide. That's from Box Office Mojo. When you factor in marketing costs as well, that's quite a flop right there. Shang-Chi and the 7 Chaos Emeralds, or whatever, it had a budget of between $150 to $200 million. And at least that brought in over $432 million. Certainly a better result overall. It was still way off the high standard of the MCU's third phase, however. Needless to say, Eternals did not perform well either. It had a $236 million budget and grossed $402 million at the box office. Hardly enough return to justify a sequel. And lo and behold, the planned sequel has been cancelled. This article is from comicbookmovie.com. Eternals, Marvel Studios confirmed to have scrapped plans for sequel. Several recent sequels, threequels, including Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and the Marvels, underperformed, and with Eternals not only having the dubious honour of being the first Marvel Studios movie to drop to rotten status on review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, but also finishing up its US run with a disappointing $164.9 million to give it the lowest domestic haul of any MCU set movie aside from 2008's The Incredible Hulk. A sequel always seemed like a long shot. Even so, it was difficult to imagine that Kevin Feige would simply decide to forget about these characters, and rumours have persisted that a sequel was in the early planning stages. We're still not sure how accurate these reports were, but if Eternals 2 ever was in development, it isn't anymore. During a recent interview with Game of Thrones alum Kit Harington, who made his MCU debut as Dane Whitman in the movie, Variety confirmed that any plans that may have been in place for a sequel have been scrapped. It's actually quite a good sign that Marvel is no longer pursuing its previous course of producing subpar films that add little to nothing of value to the MCU. The MCU has been directionless since Endgame, and I think we're seeing some positive signs, especially when it comes to the dropping of the Kang story arc and the retooling of the future MCU film timeline with the return of Robert Downey Jr. and the Secret Wars story being introduced instead. Deadpool and Wolverine's financial success also probably gave the studio a taste of the good old days, and a reminder that giving fans what they really want is, well, always more likely to result in a hit film. Eternals, for the most part, wasn't exactly what many fans had hoped for. It's no surprise then, its sequel has been cancelled. So, to conclude, I suppose you could say, there will be no Returnals. Yeah, the channel has seen better days. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. Please hit that like button, subscribe for more. Comment below and let me know what you think. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.